call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order. What we have on our agenda tonight is funding for street projects 2024, life insurance benefit renewal, dental benefit renewal, wastewater treatment plant operator of record staffing, a national opioid settlement, appropriations for several line items, including fire truck payment coming due in October, first coming due in October, compensation of interim city manager position, appropriations for payment of Buchtel Street paving agreement, appropriations for salary increases / contracts, and a 2025 budget discussion. So let's lead off with the funding for street paving projects 2024. Mr. Cohen?
We talked about it last night. When that sinkhole happened on 4th Street, there was 2 full dump trucks of asphalt down there, and we had a choice. We were paying for it either way. Either we were going to pay for it through the project, and it was going to get dumped at the plant, or we could find somewhere to put it. Well, I found somewhere to put it.
Good.
If we were going to pay for it, we might as well put it on the road somewhere. So it's an extra $25,000.
So we have to appropriate $25,000.
$25,000 to be able to cover our paving this year.
Okay. All right. So any council discussion on this? Any members? You got any questions about it? Unfortunately, that's what happens when we do construction. Thank God that you found the sinkhole and you got it taken care of before.
It just appeared.
It just
They were
happened.
paving down through there and it just appeared.
That's a little scary.
They had fixed the sewer there about 14 years ago, and where it was just back over the sand. There was nothing there, so we dug it down. We had it dug down 6 feet. Did 6 feet. We done, or 7 feet. We done. I had to do 2 foot of crushers, compact it, another 2 foot, compact it, another 2 foot, compact it, and then we did a foot of concrete.
Nice.
So that way it'll never sink there again.
Okay. All right. So Taylor, we would have to bring forth a ordinance allowing $25 to be appropriated.
25,000.
25,000. 25,000. Did I say that?
Yeah.
I said $25.
$25. Hey, $25 works good too.
You'll probably take
No.
25.
Okay, so $25,000 needs to be appropriated is that out of the general fund? Would that come from?
No, you said you used the materials, right?
We used it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going towards street repair. I would think the council would be well within their means to use the 200 fund. the
Okay.
Street construction fund.
Okay, all right, so
Where the typical paving and repair monies come from.
okay, so we will gladly do that appropriation. Any more discussion needed on that? Sarge, you got any questions? Ofa?
No.
Okay, all right. All right, so there's that, and then we have the life insurance benefit renewal.
Yes, I'm gonna try and make this whole meeting as painless as possible. I have, if you wouldn't mind passing that down. The life insurance is a benefit covered by the city council in full for all employees, full-time at City Hall. It's a $20,000 benefit. It's a pretty affordable, policy. The, policy costs come between $200 and $300 a month. However, their renewal, this is the first time since I've been here, their renewal actually increases the rates 5%. So I've been here 5 years, first time I've seen an increase on it. And I wanted to put it before the committee so that we could renew. The policy is through Principal Life Insurance. That's provided through Mr. Wilburn's office here in town. Okay.
Well, 5% in 5 years, I don't think that's too bad of an increase.
Yeah, it's a fraction of a penny, I think, if you look at the math on there. It's like 0.17 per employee, something.
I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I think that we need to take that increase, that small increase, and run with it in today's world. 5%, that's not too shabby.
That's not bad whatsoever.
What's your view on it, Sarge?
I was just looking at figures.
Yeah, current monthly premium.
Again, the monthly cost for the benefit is so I believe the last check was $230. That covers a whole month for the whole city. So
Oh,
it's a pretty
Oh, okay.
affordable policy.
Okay,
Gotcha.
Every now and then it creeps up to 300 when there's more employees covered.
so $230 is the monthly renewal fee.
Yeah, that's the full premium.
That's, okay.
So the change in cost for the city is like a few a dozen dollars maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't do the exact math before the meeting, but it's a pretty small.
Okay. All right, well, I don't have a problem with bringing that in front of full council, doesn't it?
Nor do I.
Okay,
do I?
all right, so be it.
All right. Next up is dental, if you wouldn't mind passing this down. This is much bigger. There's like 60 pages to this one, so I only made one copy. I can send copies to everybody, but I put a note, or I put a tag on where the actual renewal is at 6%. This is the dental coverage. So Delta Dental provides the insurance here at the city. It also has not increased since I've been here. I've never seen an increase in 5 years. But there's a 6% increase for fiscal year 2025, I guess you'd call it. That premium for the whole city runs around $1,000 and $1,200 per month. So we're talking of a change between $50 and $100 per month. Both of these insurance policies are great prices. I couldn't find anything more competitive than this. And Delta's almost a near monopoly, so it'd be very difficult to compete with that.
I think it's a great deal. I mean, we're looking at 5% for life and 6% for dental. Usually we see a lot more increase than that.
Usually you see this yearly,
Yeah.
so for the first time in 5 years, for either.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to see?
No, I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it over your shoulder. I stood up.
Okay.
So for both these, it would just be a legislation allowing the city manager to sign the renewals.
I don't foresee an issue with it. Does anybody else? Okay. All right, so we'll bring that forth.
All right.
Wastewater treatment plant operator of record staffing. So we discussed that in utilities, so we need to bring forth an ordinance stating the wastewater, adding a wastewater part-time / emergency fill-in operator of record. It has to be operator
We'd have to change our staffing
ordinance.
ordinance on that, the whole thing.
The whole thing has to be
Has to be redone
has to
and
be
redone.
redone, yes. If I'm correct, Mr. Robe, is that correct on staffing ordinances? Do you have to redo, or can you place an amendment? Can you place an amendment? Because that's your legal question.
You could amend it, but the rules for amending is that you'd have to copy and paste word for word and then underline and strike through, so.
Might as well just redo it, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just add a line saying the previous one was being repealed. or
Okay,
abolished.
so I think that, I don't have, with Sean's explanation on why and how. I know it's expensive, but we have to have that be EPA compliant. And for Sean to actually have vacation and leave the plant. So with that, I don't foresee any issues with bringing that ordinance through, adding that position.
Here's my question. If we add that as a part-time, now does he cover under insurance and all that?
Part-time is not eligible for insurance.
Okay.
Part-time, but he wants his OPERS. He wants into his OPERS.
Yeah.
And that's why he wants listed as a part-time employee. So
Right.
therefore he can get paid into it, his OPERS can get paid into it.
Okay.
Which he doesn't want to be 1099.
That'd be the primary benefit. is the
Yes.
OPERS.
Yes.
Right. That's what he wanted. I just wanted to make sure there was any other benefits that was
That was
gonna be thrown in there with $50 an hour and.
Yeah, because he's full-time. He is a full-time employee of the Plains right now, I believe.
He
So
he has, Nancy's question was how he'll handle the insurance. I believe, he has coverage. Well, let me rephrase. I don't know if he has coverage. He's offered coverage at his other employer and that's already resolved. So it's not a question of whether we need to have any insurance coverage.
Well, wait a minute, is he working 2 places?
Yes.
Yeah. He would just be part-time for the city.
Okay, I got you now.
He's,
Alrighty.
he's full-time at the Plains.
But is he a contract at the Plains?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
He said he was on.
because he's OPERS, he has to be an employee. Okay, so I don't have an issue with bringing that forward as long as the insurance is 100% nailed down, that he is just part-time.
Yeah.
I have no issue with bringing forth that legislation. I just don't want any hidden costs. That's it.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any hidden costs. I do think the handbook required, I think federal law requires, he could buy the insurance, but as a part-time, he'd have to pay the full costs.
Okay,
So the city only covers health insurance for full-time.
okay. All right. You okay with that, Opa?
I'm fine with that.
Sarge, you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Let's bring that forth. All right, National Opioid Settlement. Who knows about that?
I do. Me and Mr. Rowe, but I think I'll take it, and Mr. Rowe, correct me if I say anything wrong. There's 2 copies here, if you don't mind. These are just the contracts, the agreements, they'll be included with the legislation. One of these contracts is actually authorized last year. One of them is not authorized yet to join in the national opioid settlements, which there are like a dozen of which now. They're with like every retailer and with a different set of states, and it's actually become quite complicated, if I can say so, for not very much money, for the city.
This started years ago with Mr. Hunter. I think I was on the first one.
The Ohio joined, I think, 39 states
Yes.
to sue, and so for that first settlement, we get $1,800 per year. Some of these settlements actually are less than that. Like we're gonna get like 200. One of them is more at 3,800 per year, and they all have different settlement terms.
Right.
So like I said, it's a whole bunch of different pots of money where we get these small checks. I don't want to demean them, but 3,800 in comparison to the damage that these drug companies did to this places like Nelsonville is, it just doesn't stack up. So what I mean to say is that they are small amounts. What I primarily need to do is the state auditor put out a bulletin saying that these funds must be in a separate fund called essentially opioid settlement fund. The city's prior policy, which was passed in ordinance, about a year and like 2 months ago, placed it in the canine fund, since the canine would be the primary fighter of
Opioids.
yeah, opioids, and the money has to serve a certain purpose. That apparently was a very popular thing cities were doing, and as well as counties, and the state auditor has expressly said that's not allowed. I don't particularly know the full legal reasoning, and Rob might be able to give us like an hour lecture on, I'm sure it's like complicated, but we just need to create a separate fund. So that ordinance would create a separate fund for these monies.
Okay.
And authorize the newest one, which was like, it was just this summer.
It's like a line item.
Yeah, and it would have its own line item in
Okay.
the fund, yeah.
Okay.
Well, at some point too, we'll have to create a policy for the police department too. Yeah, I use that as well.
I think that's common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem.
And I know it seems complicated, and you've got contracts in front of you, and it's all for like $5,000 a year. It is complicated for not a lot of money, but it seems these proceedings have made it just that way, a little cumbersome. But these monies will come to the city for several decades. They are to be used towards either mental health or fighting drug trafficking. And every other entity gets it in the state of Ohio too, including counties, cities and villages. Hopefully that's helpful information.
Okay. Well, I don't have a problem with creating that line item, that fund, so that that money can go in there for, so that we can collect it. That's a no-brainer. I don't. Ofa, you okay?
I'm fine with it.
Sarge, you
No
okay?
problem.
Okay. All right.
And if council wanted to get really creative, to just throw this out there, I don't want to take from the police department. If you want to get really creative, there are ways the city could grant to, say, mental health agencies or programs or drug treatment programs. So just be aware that these monies will be trickling in and they have a certain set of uses,
I think,
including police,
stop it, Taylor.
including
Look at
police.
you grinning.
I'm a big believer in creative government.
I know you are. I know. Nick, look at you go. Look, you feel the death rays.
Question, please.
Yeah.
In previous court hearings, when I was here, we sent people to the rehabs. So would that money pay for that if the court?
Court soda beans.
I think it certainly could.
Yeah.
A lot of cities and villages are they're creating things like partnerships to help, like, say, divert staff to help a certain issue or work within a certain agency, or even creating drug education programs, like, not obviously educating for drugs, but against them in, say, schools. So I think there's a lot of really creative ways that it could be used.
I just want to make sure before.
I like the rehab stuff because like Nancy said, the courts, we used to, I think Fitch took a lot of people to rehab and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I'm like, bulletproof vests and stuff like that's not a bad evil either. So, I understand where you're coming from. I think it's a great thing. I think it's great. The city, not near enough money for the damage that it caused to this town, not even close. So many people's lives have been destroyed. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, okay, well, thank you, Taylor. Any more questions for Mr. Sappington on that?
No.
Okay. All right, appropriations for several line items, including the fire truck payment, first coming due in October. So the new fire truck payment is first due in October.
That's right.
It will be in addition to the one we're paying on now, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So we're gonna have, we don't have the money to cover the new truck in the current budget, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So where would this money come from? Where do we need to appropriate the money for?
We're gonna do two things. The proposed location is the 600 fund, the capital improvement fund,
Okay.
where there's a line called fire department truck lease. The one proposal, I'm passing down two proposals your way. One of them says that $45,000 will need to be paid in the first year, which would be this year, as well as the second year, and then payments for 10 years thereafter. I'm gonna throw two questions at you today, actually. One of the questions that came up, the fire chief and I talked on Thursday or Friday. Honestly, it could have been Wednesday, the last few days flown. He pointed out to me that the community leasing partners, the one with the man standing at the top of the page, that they actually had a better offer to make. They really wanted the city's business and to maintain the city's business. I think they've been a customer, or we've been a customer of theirs in the past. Their interest rates are now lower. You've seen this proposal, I think, once, this committee has, but it's actually lower now. It was higher before than the other proposal. So both the chief and I made a series of calls and emails to verify that nothing had been done for the fire truck, for the lease, and that these were correct. And it turns out all of that is kosher and good. So I told the chief today, I didn't want to hijack his process, and I don't want it to seem like, even though I'm explaining the full right now, but I think he's right that option 2 on the community leasing page, or option 1, or actually all three, let me rephrase. All three options on the community leasing have a lower interest rate than the previous agreement council agreed to, or was agreeable with and authorizing. So if the finance committee was interested, there's still amount of time, basically Monday would have to be done, to accept the community leasing offer at the lower rate.
I'm all
For the
saving
fire
money.
truck.
I'm all for saving money.
That's we have to go through and get a new ordinance made up, changing the finance company.
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah.
And it would have to be, just for full transparency, would have to be done probably Monday because of council's schedule. So it would need an
So
emergency
then
and suspension.
we'd have to,
But that's a significant difference. I believe this number was much closer to 6.
it was.
And for $500,000 or $600,000,
That's a lot of money.
we'll take those points any day.
Okay, so what do we want to do in the terms of years? 10, 12, 15, do we want to decide that here or allow council to discuss that and decide, but it has to be an ordinance, it's gonna have to be wrote with what we're going for. Now, here's the thing, I'm just speaking frankly, let's say everything falls apart, the city of Nelsonville becomes a mayoral form of government, we lose our city status. We lose a lot of funding through the state, correct? Okay, now, in my worst all case scenario, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, the lower payment, yes, it's longer years, but it's less money. Extended, and the length, and this truck is proposed to last 20 years, give or take.
Yes,
So it's gonna last 15, all right? So I'm a firm believer in lower payment, a bit less of a pill to swallow in worst case scenarios. So therefore, if for some reason at the next census, the city of Nelsonville doesn't maintain city status, we lose a lot of funding. We're gonna start pinching pennies and looking at everything. You're not gonna have almost $90,000 payment. You're gonna have a $61,000 payment. That's $30,000. It's a lot of money.
I
So-
agree with you, Tony.
I'm just thinking worst case scenario. Now, if I knew for sure that we would be a city then and no issues, I'd say go for the shorter period, save money, less interest rate, and let's run it through and be done in 12. But 3 years, $30,000 less a year, that's a lot of money. That's half of an employee's wage.
There's no penalty for paying off early.
That I don't know. Mr. Sapping, do you know that?
Well, it's funny you were asking because I was looking in the bullet points at the bottom for it earlier. It doesn't say. It doesn't say.
Okay.
It has become extremely uncommon for there to be a penalty for that in the world I work in, but we can ask for sure.
Yeah, I would say let's ask for sure. Do we want to bring, I think, in my opinion, I think it's good to bring forth the lower payment for the 3 more years. And bring it forth for council and with the cheaper finance rates. I mean, because that's a lot better than what it was. Are you okay with that, Oprah? Do you have any input on that?
no, I think it's good.
Okay.
Suspend.
And suspension of the rules to get that approved immediately so that we're done. Okay,
Does that sound good, Chief?
Yeah, that's fine. That's why I brought it to you. I thought these numbers were gonna save the city money. And, full transparency, I didn't see, this offer until I talked to you that day.
that sounds good. Okay, well, we'll bring it forth in front of full council on an emergency and suspension of the rules. So everybody's clear. So therefore, it becomes effective immediately. All right, we've talked about the fire truck for a month now, or 2 months, so it's not like it's a surprise. Okay, so next item on the agenda, I got texted by Kamala Harris.
And then you guys will have on the appropriation ordinance that's building, you can probably tell through all the points. There's a appropriation ordinance building, the fire truck payment for $45,000, which you're authorizing, will be on there as well.
Okay.
It'll be due in October. I thought it said you know what? It says first payment 2025.
Nice.
So we did not need to do that.
Yeah, October was the first company. I remember.
What was the other company?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I was
What's
crossing
the
wires.
Well, that's great. We get to use it for a year. Cool. Gift with purchase. Okay.
The council, so this next point, I don't actually have a firm point to put on, and I definitely don't want to put, our interim city manager on the spot. At the last, would that be special meeting? Council, when I watched the video, council discussed, compensation changes for the interim city manager position, but without decision. So I didn't know if this needed brought up today, where there would,
I'll just speak from myself. I'm big mouth tonight. I'm back engaged. If anybody never noticed, there for a while, I was on vacation. I can tell you this, there's no amount of money worth that position in my world. No way. Cause I remember the rumors about me wanting that position at one time. It's like, yeah, no. I will say this, Devin has done a excellent job at maintaining and steadying the ship through hard seas. His lack of emotional distress is very nice. I'm being nice. I mean, the man has got nerves of steel, always had the same temperament. I've never heard him raise his voice. I think if he raises his voice, I'll run and hide. Probably a good idea. I think that definitely we need to discuss some kind of compensation for him, for going above and beyond, for attempting to get us EPA with our EPA problems. You know, we've got several issues there. He's going to be dealing with some tough conversations with township trustees, possibly, some landowners, possibly.
So let's just up his pay.
Okay. I'm all for it too. I think that it should be a set fee, but at the same time, I think that we need to look at very quickly what if there's been any cases to treat him fairly. I think that Taylor and Mr. Clement and the city manager need to sit down and have some serious conversations about what figure we're looking at, what is fair, and bring it forth full of council. Because I don't know the finances. You know the finances. Is Mr. Clement can negotiate or talk and make an educated decision. Myself, I was thinking an extra, $2,500 a month is what I was thinking. That's a lot of money. But at the same time, you're doing this. We didn't compensate him the first time that he did this. He did it with gift with purchase, smile and a hug.
Came back around, huh?
It came back around, yeah,
To bite you.
to bite you, because we love you.
And the first time was what, 6 months?
6
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
it was 6 months, and he steadied the ship then, and he brought a continuity between council and between the citizens and the public.
I was understanding that he enjoyed it.
He did enjoy
He
it.
was having fun with it.
He was.
Everything was like.
He had
Only
his,
ruined one family vacation.
yeah, only one, with 15,000 phone calls about petty stuff that was absolutely worthless. So,
It was the 18th stuff.
oh, I remember.
oh yeah,
Well, and also at the time that he did it the first time, he was not actually, he was an interim police chief at the same time.
yes, he was interim. He had his name tags over there. He had all kinds of stuff at his desk. It was police chief / city manager. I remember your name tag. But yes, I think that you guys could, come up with an agreeable number and bring it forth and full of counsel. I am for compensating him. I am. And I think everyone here is. Whether that determining up to you, I'm not against vac, because he is not a union employee, so vacation could come into it. Some other things, I'm all for negotiations. So put on your thinking cap, Taylor, Mr. Clement, please, and bring us something forth full of council, okay? All right, and with that, let's see here. Appropriations for payment of Buchtel Street paving agreement. So we have already discussed that. Is this Bessemer Road again?
That's-
Yeah, okay, so we have discussed that till we're blue in the face. What I would like to see happening, and this is just me, I would like to see our city manager contact the trustees, explain the situation, tell them what has went on, that if there were promises made without council approval or appropriation or council knowledge of any of this, myself, we're here for the citizens of Nelsonville, okay? Nelsonville's got enough bad streets. You know, $50,000 paves an alley. 55.
Wasn't that just a proposal?
But that was a proposal, yes.
Right.
So, I want these people to know that we support them. We support our trustees, but we need to discuss this a little further. I mean, I wish we had all the money in the world that we could do all these projects. So, if with committee's approval, and, I think that we should allow Mr. City Manager to make contact, with them and start discussions.
Full agreement.
So,
Agree.
okay, all right, there's that.
All right. I was just gonna give a quick 2025 budget update, especially because I'm sure folks want to go home. I've already promised Mr. Clement we would try it and will keep on schedule as we did last year.
Let's get it done.
Some of the important deadlines were September 15th internally, September 30th between the city manager and I, and then council being completely done by the end of October.
One thing I would like to ask, real quick, the fire truck payment doesn't start till July, correct? Can we start accruing? It wasn't October, the first one was October. Can we start accruing that at the beginning of the year? Can we set the budget to have that money start accruing at that, so that in case, just worst case scenario, where there's extra money in that account already for the payments?
I see.
In case something happens. Can we start that early? And therefore, maybe if it works at the end of if we do that, and we can make an extra payment or possibly pay it off early at one point. Gotcha. Is that okay? Is that legal?
I just want to make sure I understand. Are you asking to set it aside or to actually pay it early?
Set it aside.
Oh, yeah, we
So,
could do that.
in case something happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my quick update for budget
Well,
2025.
I have a question for the budget 25.
Yeah.
So we've had this discussion before, you and I.
Yeah.
Can you present to council how much money we have committed to all the payments
Yes.
for the year of 25?
Yeah.
So we know when we look at the budget, we have this much for this payment, this much, so we know how much is going out right at the
All
beginning
those
of the year.
payments. Yeah. Sounds great.
Sure can.
Did Mr. Flowers want to move the discussion for the cruiser replacement plan to this finance meeting?
I think he did. I'm willing to discuss it real quick. As you well know, I am all for having the equipment to do the job, okay? I honestly believe any cruiser that's in this town that has 60,000 miles on it is on its way out. 60,000 miles in this town is like 250,000 miles in any other town. Just because of the brick streets, the suspension, you're gonna start, and I'm back in the automotive industry, so I see it. If you have a vehicle that has 300,000 highway miles, it's in better shape than a vehicle that has 60,000 miles, city miles. So in the Ford Explorers, which is a bunch of what we have, and of course, Ford has always had suspension issues with ball joints, lower control arms, and you name it. So I know we were donated 3 cruisers. Dayton, Canton area, State Highway Patrol, and Cleveland, some Bedford Heights, right? Was it Bedford Heights? I think it was Bedford Heights. Cleveland Heights. So I know those were already high mileage vehicles. Are those still in service right now?
They are. So right now we have all the cruisers I want to have. I don't want to have a bigger fleet than what we have.
We just need to
We
replace
need to
those
start
3.
working on getting new ones in to phase out.
Okay. So right now at this moment, this is great because you're like the city manager too. So here we go. I know back when Mr. Frank was city manager, there was buy one, get one. So if we bought one, we got one free. And that's really how they were. There was grants out there. If you bought one under this program, they gave you one. Yeah, that's how we ended up with so many cruisers, was buy one, get one. And I think you're aware of those, like USDA grants. There was grants through the USDA.
Yeah, it was a USDA grant.
Do you remember those?
They paid up to so much and you had to pay the rest.
Yep.
So it looked like a get one.
It did. It looked like buy one. It was real close to that. So if we could look into those, see if there's anything out there. At the same time, start getting prices, get the prices from the state bid for it. Locate them, see if there's any available. And we want to get them fully outfitted, correct? We don't want to do that where we get them
Yeah.
the base strip model and then wait 6
I wanna
months to
make
get
sure-
them.
I'm looking for you guys to start the process to appropriate money for next year's budget.
Oh,
Not-
okay.
Not to buy another this year,
Okay,
but planning for next year.
all right, we'll start. Yes, okay, that is no problem with me. I would love to replace 3 of those, but in the meantime, I'd like to start looking for the free money for them. Okay, because that's what 3 of them were bought with the COVID money. 3 were bought with that. I think there was 4 that was bought with USDA grants. I think we got that twice, I think. I know at least once was. So if you could look into that and see. Taylor, do we have any of that money left?
The American,
Yeah,
I'm gonna forget the name, ARPA money.
yeah, the ARPA money.
There is some left. I don't know if it's vehicle amount left, but
See,
there's some.
check
left.
into that and see if there is, because if there is a vehicle amount left, then we can use it.
I actually printed cash report. I could have been able to tell you, but I either left it or lost it on my way over here. So
See how you are?
I don't know.
Likely.
It's a short trip.
The cat ate my homework too.
Right.
It's in the back.
It could be in the back.
So, look into that and see if there's any money there. That's where a lot of that we were very fortunate with that. Unfortunately fortunate where we were able to get that. So yes, I am all for, getting with Mr. Sappington and seeing if there's any money that we can start appropriating for this cruiser replacements. Cause I can remember years ago, real short, I'm not gonna get into story time like Taylor does, but, we were down to 2 cruisers in this town. 2. Yeah, they never shut off. They never shut off. And 2 plus the chief's Jeep vehicle. We had 2 cruisers and they were Dodge Chargers, remember? And we ended up giving one away to, Corning. No, New Straitsville.
No streets.
So I never want to be in that situation again. I mean, our guys were having to partner up 2 and 3 people to a car and it was bad. They never shut off. So, yeah. What's that?
I think you missed the appropriations for salary increases and contracts. Did you touch on that?
I was just waiting for the.
Okay.
We haven't yet. We haven't
Go
yet.
ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
done. I'm good.
The next bullet point, actually I had 2.
Hold on a second. Are you guys okay with?
I'm fine.
Looking to appropriate? Okay, I just want to make sure. We're done. All right, go ahead, Taylor.
2 issues. Neither one of them the most fun to have to deal with. We'll need to increase the appropriation for salaries to cover the cost of several contracts, as well as their corresponding pension cost and Medicare cost. The city pays matching on both of those. I do have, I didn't bring my full report, but I do have the increases, and we'll need to put those into appropriation to finish the year. They're significant. Between all funds, they add up to just short of 250,000. The general fund, I have, the exact number I have is 235,000. Obviously, when you're dealing with wages, you don't appropriate to the dollar, you round that up in case of any uncertain overtime or other items. So some of those line items, you'll see on the appropriation ordinance, and I don't.
So we're looking at $207,000,
Just short of 250.
$250,000 in.
That number, that second number I said was just the general funds. These will be fully, the general fund at least will be fully deficit spending.
So this is why in the Judiciary Committee, we're bringing forth that legislation about contracts. Because that's what happened to us. Surprise. So, okay. Sarge, you got any questions on that?
No, sir, do not. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
I've got one last quick one. So I've actually spoken with several council members on the phone about it like 6 months ago. But we had an IRS filing, that was, in the mail, and did not make it. The IRS said it was good to go 6 months ago. Imagine no issues. I received some correspondence today that, you know, they'd like to, raise a few other questions about it. Sometimes in positions like mine, when things like this happen, folks will keep it secret. They will fight it on their own. They will do this, they will do that. I wanted to bring it out transparently and say, I'm absolutely going to challenge it. Like the last time the IRS had an issue with the city, we were able to prevent every dollar of expense last time, rightfully so. I spoke with Mr. Rowe. He actually was pretty optimistic. It wouldn't be too big of an issue. And if I don't mind me putting words in your mouth, express some annoyance with just delivery service in the country. Let's say.
You didn't get it?
So I will say when I was made aware that the filing didn't make it, I actually left. I like to do the job right. I think folks know this about me at this point. And if something's wrong, I'm gonna fix it immediately. I left a social event and canceled plans with my boyfriend on a Friday night. I found out about 7 and came in here and was filing after 9 p.m. So this was months and months and months ago. The reason I bring this up is that the IRS has more questions. What I would like the council to authorize is for the city attorney and I to challenge it, to answer their questions, challenge it, say, we mailed it, here's the filing. It didn't involve payment. That's the other thing. It's not like the city was short of payment. It was required no payment. So that's the other thing that's kind of a little frustrating about it.
Go ahead.
But anyway, so I was gonna have an ordinance drawn up by Mr. Rowe to ask the council to authorize. Yes.
When you send the next one, take it down to the post office and get a receipt.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
I am happy to say it's a great suggestion. I'm happy to
You can't
say
do it.
we
He needs to do it.
we no longer send anything to the IRS via first class mail because of this. I will only file it certified or
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
electronically.
Yep.
So
Because
immediately get it.
electronically you have a
Record.
trail.
Right, I actually can get immediate confirmation they have it.
Okay.
One of the reasons this particular filing wasn't done electronically was because actually, it's weird how just full circle things can be, I guess. I didn't have full access to the electronic filing system because it had already been set up in a deputy auditor's name before I was here, who was ended up being found guilty of certain issues. And you can only have one authorized person, and that person has to authorize the next person on the account because it's a federal government account. So it's just weird. It's just weird how things work out. I couldn't file the things that way. Anyway,
Sounds good. Bring forth the ordinance.
I just wanted you guys to be aware. I wanted to ask for your approval, and I've done this once, and I'm gonna do it again. So just need your help and support resources.
No?
Senior chief.
Pardon?
Senior chief. Senior chief.
Chief.
That's it for me.
I agree.
I agree.
And you don't have any other story.
I agree.
That's all.
All right. With that,
Thank you.
we're good. A meeting adjourned at 819.